Yo, what up, dude? So, on the subject of hand path simplicity, arm action efficiency, this is going to be included within the ebook that I publish on this dynamic. If you've been following me for a while, you know I'm super passionate about this thing because of what it's done for me. But first and foremost, I think when we look at like mechanics, we're so quick to look at like only pitchers, and now that's all fine. Like I do it too, but in my personal opinion, as we see here, the best throwing mechanics are more oftentimes than not position players. More specifically, like middle infielder, not middle infielders. I would say like shortstop, third base, and right field. Why? Because it's a very simple combination of what the task is in regards to their throwing. For those guys, it's to get rid of the baseball as quick as possible while producing as much power output in that given window of time, right? So you have that, you want to get rid of it, and you want to produce as much power. Now, what happens when that is the goal? This is what we're going to find out. Mookie Betts here on the left. You're going to just notice that this video went viral when he threw that guy out at third. Just notice how the simplicity, now he's going to have a little dip in his hand here because he's able to, right? Because he's a right fielder. They're usually able to get a little bit more dip, more leverage. But just notice in this position as he anchors down with that front foot or that drive foot, he's maintaining flexion, right? So now as he's going to keep going, that flexion is really shown in this particular instant. Let's not do that, right? So now we have this move. Something keeps beeping. I don't know what it is. All right, so establish front side direction, and then you get right into your retraction. I mean, Mookie Betts, he does so many different things well, not even his throwing mechanics, but you can just see that he's keeping connection with his hand, and his hand never goes behind his body, right? So his body is traveling and going towards his desired target, but his hand just goes right up, and now he's into his retraction, and then he pulls his arm through to increase his power output as much as he can in the given time that he has to do so, right? And he's throwing a guy out at third. And then now Baez, this is, let's see. Yeah, so this is a backhand, and watch what he does. So now this is a really good example because it's a backhand. Now we really see that the task is to get rid of the ball as fast as you can, but you got to produce as much power output as you can, or else you're not going to be able to get this guy out at first, right? So what does he do? He separates, he gets that ball out. He's not even had a grip on that ball yet, right? So he's trying to grip this ball as he's separating. But notice how now his hand, unlike Mookie Betts, we won't see him dip behind, below that line. Instead, he goes right up and right into that retraction. So now his retraction is now the one thing that's giving him that power that he's trying to create with his throwing arm, right? So see how deep he gets into that. And now as he's going back into this, watch his hips are going to start going, right? Because he knows that this goal is to get rid of this ball, but also to produce power. So now you have this tornado effect of creating a ton of rotational energy, and then once you cap it, it's boom, now release it, right? Boom, release it. I love that view too. That's just a super athletic play. The hips go, you can see that knee, right? So the knee starts to crack forward into internal rotation. The pelvis does a great job of rotating late, but look at the amount of like separation, man. That's freaking crazy. It's basically like that. Whoa, that was a terrible line. But yeah. I don't know. I love looking at freaking outfielders and infielders, man. I think they have the best throwing mechanics on the field because of the desired task. The task is different than pitchers, right? I think the hardest thing for pitchers is, well, one, I guess, yeah, not A. So one, pitchers, we're on a slope, so the body's going to respond different to that stimuli, right? position players, they're on flat ground. It's going to be different. I think they're able to leverage a little bit better. They don't have the added acceleration, but that also, not having the added acceleration also showcases the moving parts of the throwing mechanics a lot better, right? So now pitchers, we have the added acceleration. We also have time, the time difference on a slope compared to a flat ground. More often times than not, the slope, the mound, is where pitchers' mechanics go to die, theoretically, you know? And I think the perception of time for pitchers actually does more harm than good. Perception of time, meaning they have time to deliver the pitch in their leg lift, and that actually does more harm than good, whereas position players, given that the task is to essentially do things quicker, you see a lot of things clean up, right? Simplistic. That's why I say, like, that's the name, man. Like, hand path simplicity actual equals arm action efficiency. Whereas, again, with pitchers, we perceive time, right? On a slope, we have more time, and we're trying to create time because all these instructors and coaches are saying, get on time, so therefore we perceive that as going slower, which doesn't make any sense. So that's when you see a very over-complexity of the hands and the arms. When they're not trying to do that, it's just a byproduct of them doing that due to, like, what they are intending to do, okay? So if you're watching this and you haven't checked out my ebook on hand path simplicity, arm action efficiency, it's a ebook on exactly that. It's giving you a ton of different progressions and throw variations and drills, like all of these things that you can do that I've done that helps me kind of regain that feel. Again, pitchers, man, like, it's athleticism. Like, the athletic throw trumps all, like, no matter what, right? We see it all the time in throwing mechanics of outfielders and infielders and across the board, right? So be sure to check that out, therobbyrowshow.com. You can go to the ebook section in there. You'll find that. Any questions, contact robbyrow@gmail.com. So hopefully that was the worst signature ever. Hopefully that just showcases something, and maybe it will entice you to look more towards the throwing mechanics of position players. All right. God bless. Love you guys.